Allahu, 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 Allah, Allahu, Allah.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. Brothers, it's been a great opportunity for us to be here. It really is something that we have to begin by expressing gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that's where it all begins. Because by coming here not last month, but earlier in this month, I'm coming here today to refresh our memory about such a topic that is so important in such a time we're living in, where it seems that people have got a dementia about the self, about spirituality, about the fact that there is a soul. It seems like people have got amnesia. You know, this is about a disease of losing their memory, about the fact that they have something inside of themselves which is a soul. And it's that soul that needs to connect to Allah Azza wa Jal. And when it isn't connected, then there's a huge problem. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, you know, in the context, you know, Imam Habib was mentioning about taqwa, which is one of the very first part of your toolkit or your toolbox that we need to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about this in the Quran in Surah Al-Hashr, about connecting to Allah through taqwa, always reassessing ourselves and thinking about what is it that we have sent forward for the next life, because that's what's going to matter. And then Allah reminds us, look, it's important, you must adopt taqwa, a full awareness, a heightened awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And do not allow yourself to be in a state of forgetfulness about the fact that Allah is your Lord and your soul is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah says, وَلَا تَكُونُوا, and do not become like of those who forgot Allah. Yeah? Not because they had amnesia or any disease, they forgot Allah. Willingly they forgot Allah. They chose to forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They put themselves in positions to forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They put themselves in situations to forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In environments to forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. Not only did Allah forget them, Allah made them forget themselves. So they've forgotten themselves. And in a society where we're living, where everyone, I mean, how many places, I mean, we talked to the children, Umar Abdullah, so how many times do you talk about God in school? You know, do you ever mention God at a time where you're thinking about, well, tomorrow we'll all meet again and we'll go for the school trip, or we'll carry on with this project? You don't think to yourself, if God allows me the next day to live. There is no awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing instilling in our head that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will is what we live by. Without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, we are nothing. So Allah calls them to forget themselves. And that's why people don't recognize themselves. In a society where people don't know who they are. So people start to question, who am I? Am I a male? Am I a female? Was I meant to be born like this? Why is my parents gave me birth? I don't know why. So there is a real problem in society, increasing problem in society, starting all the way from primary school, secondary school, and of course it gets even trickier as you get on. So people, and the society that we're living in, it's geared up so everyone forgets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's no, hiding that fact. It's apparent. If we look at places, more drastic measures in places like, Shangjin, in the Uyghur Muslims, and what they're doing there to sort of suppress anything that may remind anyone else about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about a godly society. I mean, this is a threatening thing for people who want to live without remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a real challenge that we have. But do remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already given us the recognition of Him, Jalla wa Ala, already inside of our soul. That soul that we have inside of ourselves, which is our essence. Your essence is not your body. Your essence is not the way you look, your clothes or your wealth. That's not the essence. The essence is that soul inside of you that has already recognized Allah, no matter how how much you may try to forget the fact that you've already recognized Allah, because when your souls were there, before we all were put into our mother's womb as a fetus, we already recognize Allah, we already witnessed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we already attested to the fact that Allah is one and alone. And so therefore we can't hide away from that. We have recognized Allah, and it's just about we have to continue to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Imam Habib mentioned in the first session about the fact that everyone is born with the capacity, with the abilities inside of us, hardwired inside of us, to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know Allah. We know Allah exists. Ask a child about Allah and he'll tell you the one above. And that child may not be introduced to Islam or any particular faith. And a BBC report was done about this, that children at a very young age, they seem to be talking about the higher being. They don't know why that is, but it seems to be that. They will put it down as because they're naive. Young children are naive, so they're always putting everything to do with the one above. But no, this is natural instinct of a child to say that God will help me, Allah will help me, the one above will help me. And then what happens is slowly the society takes you away from the real connection, And it's so important for us to get out of that and be protected. We can't be insulated fully, but we must try and remain in areas where there is reception to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where there's a signal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're losing connection with your phone, then you're always trying to look for a place where there may be better signal. And then your connection is far better. And that is why it's so important that we bring ourselves in those kind of surroundings. And we learned at the very beginning that these are the surroundings where the angels envelop us. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showers down upon us. If we're in these kind of places, then we are there where there will be good signal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And masajid, the places of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are indeed the places. But we also have to create a similar environment in our homes, similar environment within our surroundings, our community. It may take that time, but we have to start somewhere to create what we sometimes know as, in some of the Asian language, the mahawd, or in Arabic, mahawrak. What is around you, what is surrounding you. Try and improve that, and then instantly what happens is that just you being in that surrounding, you are automatically reminded about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that person that reminds you about Allah is your friend. Whenever you're around someone and you look at that person and he just reminds you about Allah, then know that this person is the closest person to you. This person is the real person that is doing you the favor in this world and will be your real comrade in the hereafter. That is so important for us to always remember. And also remember that, in one of the hadith, the famous hadith about certain people that will be under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day when there will be no shade except that shade of the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there will be a person, وَرَجُلٌ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ بِالْمَسَاجِدِ. So there was a man or person whose heart was mu'allaq. Mu'allaq means connected. His heart was connected with the masajid, with the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because his heart was always yearning to be in the house of Allah, wherever he would be, he'll feel like sort of when he's inside of the masjid, he feels free. When he goes outside, he feels like he's encaged. That's how it was for him. He would think, when is the next time I come into the masjid? Because that connects me to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that individual who felt like this, that he felt that his heart was connected with the house of Allah, then he is given such privilege on the day when there'll be no shade, on the day when the sun will be so lowered above our head, that everyone will need shade. That person is given a shade because he realized how important it was to connect the heart and keep the heart connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the greatest suffering we're going to put ourselves under. One of the greatest torture we will put ourselves under. One of the greatest suffering or punishment. The way we can really punish ourselves is to disconnect ourselves from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because what will happen when we optionally decide that we will now disconnect from Allah, we will not make an effort, a step towards connecting with Allah, then what happens is our lives will become so restricted. As Allah says, we will restrict his life. Yeah? وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ, he will have a مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكَ. He will have a restricted life. That he will go through depression, he will go through constraints, he will go through miseries, he will go through so much that he won't be able to cope. Do you really think you and me can cope without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You really think that you and me can actually say, you know what, I'm independent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's a huge misunderstanding that we could all, a real point of ignorance for ourselves. And I end on this point, that everything it's those steps that Imam Habib was saying, it's those steps that we have to take to get to where we want to be. Where we want to be. We have to take those steps. And Allah will make those steps easier. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Layl that, all of our efforts, they're very diverse. Inna sa'yakum lashatta. Some of us are putting effort into this, some of us putting effort into that. And so all of our efforts are very diverse. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. And as for the one who gives, he gives his time, he gives in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he stays connected and aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى. And he has firm belief, he believes in the great reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him, Jannah. Or this could also refer to the kalima la ilaha illallah. Then what Allah will do is فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. He will ease him onto ease. Allah will make your journey easy for you. So every good deed that you do will make a momentum for the next one. And so when you do the good deed for the first time, coming to the masjid for the first time for an event like this, could prove to be a bit difficult. We can make all of the excuses in the world and say, no, it's about the kids, it's about getting to work next day. We can make the excuses. But that first day we can find the courage, like we have, mashallah, what a beautiful turnout with such young children who've got full tomorrow, but yet then they realize the importance of being here to connect to Allah. They heard about connecting to Allah and thought, this is the place I have to be. I have to learn to connect to Allah. When you make that effort to do this, then the second time becomes easier, third time becomes, that's what it means by فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. We will make a momentum for this person until he will be able to do all of the good things that he has planned to do. So it's all about taking those steps one by one, but not breaking it. If a person has done 40 days of salah and then that's it, suddenly you say, that's it, today I'm not doing it. What a shame. We have to keep that going, and only then we will see the accumulation of our good deeds has made us into someone amazing. Our connection with Allah is amazing. We suddenly say, oh Allah, I'm in trouble, I need your help. Please be there for me. And then you witness amazingly that Allah is suddenly providing for you right in front of you. And you think to yourself, this is because of my connection with Allah. So when we have difficulties, we've got to ask ourselves, I'm crying to Allah right now, but what about my connection with Allah? Am I really connected? That I could say to Allah, Allah, help me right now, that the help of Allah will come immediately? So we have to be realistic. We've got to keep connected with Allah. So at the times when we really need Allah, we always need Allah. But those crucial times when we call on to Allah, we will witness the presence of Allah before us to assist us. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enables all of us, accepts our efforts to be here, and allows us to keep a momentum, the ball rolling, to come to these gatherings. And I'm hopeful, inshallah, it'd be a great thing if we can have a monthly gathering like this. So we all know that once a month there is something here that we must not miss. It's an unmissable gathering. And inshallah, if we do this, we will see over a year, say 12 sessions of something like this, inshallah. And we internalize it, we make an effort to try and understand it and practice upon those things. A year down the line, as Imam Habib mentioned, December, where will we be from now until then? We have Ramadan in between that. We have the period of Hajj in between that. We have many a times of voluntary fasting and many other things that Allah promises for us. If we do all of those things, we will be way far in our deen compared to where we are today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us all. May He accept our gathering here. May He give us true taqwa, awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May He give us the tawakkul, the trust and the reliance solely upon the Almighty. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to think. May He allow us to reflect, and may He allow us to take stock and build our life upon taqwa, build our life upon connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May He never make us suffer by disconnecting from Him or allowing us to disconnect from Him. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا.